Big thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video.
What's up guys, and welcome to another video. Today I will be giving my younger self some business and career advice which without doubt would have helped me to generate a lot more money in my 20s and to progress a lot quicker and reach further heights with the career which I currently have at the moment. The first piece of advice I would have given myself would have been regarding university. Now, I still think it was a wise decision for me to go because I really did enjoy it, and I think realistically back then in 2007 there wasn't enough of a case for me to make to not go to university. I just simply could not have seen myself making an argument not to go at that point in time because of the school I went to, because everybody around me was going to university. My family wanted me to go to university, and I worked so hard to get these grades to allow me to go to university. So I think going to university would have been inevitable at that point in time. The degree I ended up choosing was economics and business management. And I had hoped that it would teach me a lot about being an entrepreneur, how to run a business and how to market yourself and sales and so on, but it didn't really teach me that. There was a lot of theory, a lot of graphs, equations, maths, and I just didn't enjoy it. I despised it. And if I don't enjoy something, I have a very hard time learning it and being motivated to learn it. So I honestly thought that 3 years was, as enjoyable as it was, a bit of a waste of time in terms of acquiring new skills. All I cared about was the gym, to be honest. So without a doubt, I would have benefited more if I'd chosen a degree such as sports science. Not only because I would have enjoyed it more, I would have been more interested in learning it, but it would have helped me a hell of a lot more with the career path which I ended up taking after university. But in today's day and age, if it was 2022 and I was 17 years old, I would say to myself, don't go to university. There's no need to build up that amount of debt over a 3 to 4 year period, and you simply just don't need to go in order to run your own business and to acquire the skills you need to be a successful entrepreneur. Next piece of advice I would have given myself would have been to allocate a certain number of hours every single day to learning and developing new skill sets or building upon skills which would have without a doubt helped me to earn more money. So skills such as how to sell, how to market, how to build a business, and how to scale a business. I'd already developed the skills of how to be a good coach, how to get people to lose body fat, build muscle tissue. I'd also developed the skills of how to grow my social media platforms. So I had been able to grow my social media platforms, but I hadn't really successfully been able to monetize it nowhere near as effectively as I could have done. So with those skill sets combined with the social media following which I had, I could have definitely built a much more profitable business in the first place. And in today's day and age, there is literally so much information out there that will help you to build upon your own skill sets, particularly with platforms such as Skillshare. I've had a Skillshare membership for the past couple of years, and honestly I can say it's one of the best investments I've made, not only for helping me to develop brand new skills, but also to build upon some existing skills which I already have. And the best thing is, everything is available all on one platform, and all these classes which have been put together by actual legitimate teachers, and they're being approved. One of the problems with other platforms is pretty much anyone can create content, and there is a lot of nonsense which you need to filter through. So Skillshare basically keeps the best of the best all on one platform. The next category which I'm going to be diving into on Skillshare will be all about email marketing. I currently don't have an email list. I don't know anything about email marketing, and I actually don't know how to effectively write an email. So I know that once I start to learn the basics of this, it's something which I can implement and no doubt will be very, very useful to helping to convert, drive more sales, and to build my existing business. The first 1,000 of my viewers to sign up through my link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so you can start exploring your creativity today. The next piece of advice I would have given myself would have been to stop renting out so much of my time, and by that I mean I would have stopped doing so many of the one-to-one coaching sessions, both online and in person. And you could argue, yes, they were essential for me to do to develop my skill set, to be a better coach in the first place, but I didn't need to drag it out for the period of time which I dragged it out for, which was years. All day, every day I was coaching people and I was working my ass off, but I felt like I wasn't getting the deserved income from that. The problem with the personal training was the inputs matched my outputs. And because it got to the point where I literally couldn't increase my input anymore, there was only a certain amount of hours in the day, only a certain amount of hours which I could allocate to personal training. That meant that the amount of money which I could earn was capped. Maybe, yeah, as I became a better coach, I could have charged a little bit more money, but it got to the point where I realistically couldn't charge anymore, and my outputs were capped. And the problem with this was I just couldn't earn more money from it. And even worse was whenever I took a holiday or I decided to have a bit of time off from personal training and coaching people, my income just dropped. So The moment I changed this up and I stopped doing so much personal training, and I actually decided to build courses, and I built an app where I could sell my training programs, although it required me to put a lot of work in to begin with, once I had built the course, once I had built the app and I had the training programs on there was literally no limit to how many of them I could sell. And all I really needed to do following on from that was spend 1 to 2 hours each day just putting together some content to effectively market the product, and the sales just went through the roof. The next piece of advice would have been to invest a certain percentage of my income, particularly when I started to earn more money. Now, realistically, throughout my 20s, I didn't have money to invest at all. I was barely getting by, I was scraping the barrel, but when I turned 27, I believe I started to get a decent amount of disposable income, and I could have very easily taken a percentage of that, 20% of my profits, and put it into investments such as property or stock shares or even crypto, but I didn't. I just wanted to spend it, level up my lifestyle, go travel, and although it was fun, it was good, I enjoyed it, I think a lot of it was excessive, and a lot of the money which I did spend I could have spent more sensibly, put it that way. I think the only sensible investment which I made in my 20s, particularly my late 20s, was actually starting and building my clothing business, which has definitely paid off. But apart from that, I didn't invest in any property, I didn't invest in any stock shares, didn't invest in any crypto, and if I had done, my net worth today would be a hell of a lot higher than it currently is. The next piece of advice I would give myself would be to not go into business with friends. Now, I know this is very relative, and you can make a business work, you can grow a business with a friend of yours or even a partner, but I've had a lot of people who come up to me who are thinking about doing a business with their friend or doing a business with their partner, and I say to them, it's really something you need to think about, because if things go wrong, which it probably will go wrong, it's going to get very messy. You know, particularly if you think about going into business with your partner, somebody who you're going to be living with all day, every day, and then you're also going to be in business with them all day, every day. If you have an argument, if you have a fallout, things are going to get messy. The majority of the time, I honestly just think you're better off either doing it yourself, having a little bit more faith in yourself and doing it yourself, or going into business with somebody who you're not like friends with, you don't have that close friendship or bond with, but you know them, they're respectable, you trust them, most important, you trust them, and they have experience and a good skill set, which is going to help to grow the business. And if they have a skill set which you don't have, which is going to complement the growth of the business, then that is even better. The person who I went into business with didn't have that skill set. It didn't help the business to grow. I simply just went into business because they were a friend of mine, and it ended up being a terrible, sticky, messy situation, and I felt as though I was locked into this unhappy marriage which I couldn't get out of, and I felt like I put a lot of time and effort into growing a business and growing a brand, which inevitably I had to walk away from at the end of the day. The next piece of advice I would have given myself would have been regarding friendship groups and who I was spending the majority of my time with. Throughout my 20s, realistically, when I look back, I think I was spending a lot of my time with losers. And I mean losers in the sense that they weren't winners. They weren't people who were really pushing forward, who were go-getters, who were really excelling in their career, and they were hungry to grow and to earn more money and just to fulfill their potential. It's true what they say about you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and realistically, a lot of the people who I was hanging out with throughout my 20s, they were just dossers, party boys, or just people that just weren't really going anywhere. So what does that mean? If I'm spending the majority of my time with party boys, then I'm just going to be a party boy. If I'm spending a lot of time with people who aren't really going anywhere with their career, then probably I'm not really going to go anywhere with my career as well. Now, it's not to say that you have to completely stop spending time with them all and say goodbye to all your friends. No, but it means that I should have just put a cap on how much time I was spending with them, had my fun with those guys that wanted to go out and have fun, but actually gone and actively tried to seek out those people who were growing and pushing forward with their career. And this is the case now. I'm a lot more selective with who I'm spending my time with, and fortunately in Dubai there's a lot of people out here who are go-getters, who are winners, and I find that if I just spend an hour or half an hour with them, talking to them or having a conversation within a group, I walk away from that time spent with them so motivated, so driven, and so hungry to push forward with my own career. The next piece of advice I would have given myself would have been to not have this fear of starting something new and stepping into the unknown. There's many times in my 20s where there was either a direction I wanted to go down, or this big career change which I wanted to make, or even, let's say for example with YouTube, there was a 2-year period where I thought about starting a YouTube channel, but I didn't do it because I was afraid of how I was going to be judged, and I didn't think I was ready. I was making up with all these excuses to why I shouldn't start today, and I ended up just delaying that for a further 2 years. And although I feel like now that I reflect upon everything, I felt like a lot of the decisions I made were the right decisions. There was just such a delay with me following through with the decisions, which realistically I'd already made in my head. And I feel like if I just decided to take action sooner, I would be much further ahead than where I am today. But obviously, you're always going to need that time to weigh up the pros and the cons and to decide, okay, well, is this a smart decision or is it not? But once you have made a realistic decision and evaluation that it is the right thing to do, then just do it. Go for it. Don't waste time. Don't procrastinate. Life is short. And if you waste time dwelling and coming up with excuses why you shouldn't be doing something, then when you eventually start doing it, you're just going to regret that you hadn't started doing it sooner. So there we have it, some pieces of business and career advice I would have loved to have given my younger self, particularly in my 20s. But would I have listened to that advice? I guess that is a completely different story. Hopefully I would have done, and it would have been interesting to see where I would be at this point in time had I been given those gems of advice. Luckily for you guys who are watching, particularly if you're in your late teens, early 20s, I'm giving it to you now. And there is so much information out there to help you on your own journey. So take it in, keep learning, and do your best not to make the mistakes which I did. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this a thumbs up. And of course, Skillshare, get involved, start building up your skill set as soon as you possibly can do. See you soon.